Подписывайтесь.
Подписывайтесь на мой канал, ставьте лайк, не забывайте про колокольчик.
The enhanced activities of Ukrainian aviation continue, as evident on the battlefields. Strikes occur daily, and Russian air defense systems and aircraft still struggle to counter Ukraine's operations. A Ukrainian MiG-29 with a precise GBU strike destroyed a building with Russian personnel and ammo. GBU bomb refers to a standard unguided bomb, a dumb bomb fitted with a guidance kit, turning it into a precision-guided munition. These bombs are usually guided by laser, GPS, or a combination of both. Everything is stable in Moscow, don't worry about it.
Победа будет за нами.
Подписывайтесь.
Подписывайтесь на мой канал, ставьте лайк, не забывайте про колокольчик.
The Ukrainian Defense Forces fought off a massive assault by the Russian army in Zaporizhzhia. The invaders used more than 40 armored vehicles. The Southern Defense Forces of Ukraine stated that the assault commenced on April 16th at approximately 1800 hours. Russian troops deployed over 300 personnel, 40 pieces of equipment, and 3 tanks. The invaders tried to advance in the area near Pyatakatki, Stepov, Lobkova, Malotokmachka, and Mali Shcherbaki. Since the attack was detected by intelligence in advance, it was attacked by drones and artillery. The first armored combat vehicles that the defense forces detected and destroyed were located 8 kilometers from the front line. The battle lasted approximately 2.5 hours in total. The Ukrainian Defense Forces managed to destroy 29 armored vehicles, about 10 buggies, 3 tanks, and 140 Russian soldiers. They were part of the 58th Combined Arms Army of the Southern Military District of the Russian Federation. This is not the first massive assault by the invaders in the Zaporizhzhia sector, as they tried to attack in this way on April 13th. The military reported that they had been preparing these assaults for several months. According to intelligence, the Russian army has concentrated several more such assault groups. Therefore, it is possible that it will try to organize more assault operations. In early April, soldiers from the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine and the 128th Mountain Assault Brigade drove the Russian invaders out of the village of Shcherbaki in the Zaporizhzhia sector. Over the past 6 months, the Zaporizhzhia front has witnessed intensified hostilities between Ukrainian and Russian forces, marking a significant escalation in the conflict. In early 2025, Russian troops adopted new mass assault tactics, deploying large formations of infantry and armored vehicles in attempts to breach Ukrainian defenses. One notable offensive involved approximately 320 soldiers and 40 vehicles attacking near several villages in the region. These assaults, however, were repelled by Ukrainian forces, resulting in substantial Russian losses. Concurrently, Ukrainian forces have been actively targeting Russian positions and infrastructure. On January 23rd, a significant Russian drone and missile attack on the city of Zaporizhzhia resulted in 1 death and 31 injuries, including a 2-month-old infant. The attack caused extensive damage to the city's infrastructure, disrupting power and heating for thousands of residents. The strategic importance of the Zaporizhzhia region, particularly due to the presence of Europe's largest nuclear power plant, has made it a focal point of the conflict. Russian forces have maintained control over the plant since early in the war, raising ongoing concerns about nuclear safety amid the hostilities. Despite international efforts to broker a ceasefire, the situation remains volatile, with both sides sustaining military operations in the region. The resilience of Ukrainian defenses and the continued strategic targeting by Russian forces underscore the protracted nature of the conflict on the Zaporizhzhia front. The U.S. did not supply ATACMS missiles to Ukraine during Biden's presidency, not out of fear of World War III, but due to a lack of stockpiles. Jake Sullivan, former National Security Advisor to Biden.
So I think you said in your question that I said we didn't provide them because of fears of World War III. I don't think that I ever said that about ATACMS. The reason why we didn't provide them originally is because the Secretary of Defense and the U.S. military told the President that the United States did not have enough of these in our inventory to meet our basic deterrence needs for the United States. and said essentially, we do not recommend or advise that these be given to another country. Over time, over the course of 2 years, we produced more. We produced enough to be able to supply Ukraine with somewhere on the several hundred ATACMS. So that was one piece of it. The second piece of it was that in those early months, in the period of April, May of 2022, the question of escalation was different than it was in 2024. I said in response to an earlier question that Graham asked, did we learn? And were we willing to do things later in the war that we weren't earlier in the war? And the answer to that question was yes, because we were prepared to take on more risk as this went along. So part of the reason specific to ATACMS had to do with the Defense Department's objection on the number we had, and part of the overall approach that we took on a range of different decisions that the president made had to do with our learning about what the level of risk tolerance was for us to be able to supply Ukraine with what it needed, while also making sure that we didn't end up in an escalatory spiral. I would just say, in closing, that we ended up providing Ukraine with a very significant number of these systems, down to the level where, again, we basically have no more to give. And the idea that they made a major difference operationally in the war has not been borne out by the evidence. So I think a lot has been put on this ATACMS decision to suggest, oh, if only you'd given ATACMS, the war would have turned out totally differently. And yet the experience of the use of ATACMS by Ukraine on the battlefield, I think, suggests that that is not, in fact, the case.
Russian media reports that the Russian Supreme Court has allowed the activities of the Taliban in the country. The Taliban was designated a terrorist organization in Russia in 2003. Nevertheless, representatives of the group have still been received in Russia and have met with officials. Well, nothing is strange here. Danish soldiers will be trained in Ukraine to learn combat techniques, including drone warfare, a new initiative by the Danish armed forces. Russia warns that this brings Denmark deeper into the conflict and labels them legitimate targets.
We want to have some of their experiences, because those with the best experiences get to fight against Russia, and if we are to prepare thoroughly for that, we need the experiences firsthand. We can learn a lot from the Ukrainians, and we are already in possession of several areas where we can learn a lot from them. I also think we have mentioned before that in the entire drone area, and within the drone area, we can learn a whole lot. We can learn something about electronic warfare. We can learn something about how to protect ourselves against the enemy's weapon effects. And there are several things like that which we can learn and benefit from as we are building our defense.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.